When you told there is no path, no time.
Om. Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Vivek Chudamani, verse number 551. We are looking at the final advice by Bhagwan Adi Shankara to his disciple who has come to abide in his essential nature, and so that he does not slip. Once you are established, you cannot slip. But and yet the as we are so has this disciple established, or is he uh, having the experience of samadhi, or is he steady in it? Has it become his sahaja bhav? Sahaj bhav means natural state. 24 by 7 he's continuously in that mode, in that disposition. So these are the last fine tunings that the teacher is giving to his disciple, who has tasted it, but now it needs to uh, because the instructions cannot be for the realized one. Realized one doesn't need instructions. Advice, if a person is established in the truth, he does not need any advice. So we have to we are presupposing that this disciple has had the taste, has had the glimpse, has because Vedanta preconcludes that everyone is the self, and every now and then, if the mind has become quiet, which it becomes many times during the day, we are that what we are seeking ourselves to be. Then if we are already that, we are convinced about it, then where are we going wrong? Why is the mind, where we are going wrong from our point of view, I will say, is because out of old habit we keep identifying with the old ways of functioning, that I am the mind, that I am the senses, that I am somebody. We have not learned how to be a nobody. It's not, and it cannot be learned. Once we are there, in sleep we are nobody. We don't know we are sleeping. We don't know we are a man or woman. We don't know we are a body. We don't know we are male or female. We don't know we are father, brother, sisters, wife of anyone. We don't know anything. But there we are under the veil of ignorance. See? In the waking state, we are as if hijacked, because we continue to be somebody, so that the seeker doesn't continue to be a seeker. Doesn't continue to be a seeker. There are two ways you can look at it. One is, he doesn't continue to be a seeker, continuously udasin bhav, non uh, non not giving value to anything that is coming up in the mind. That is one way. And the other way is that whatever is coming, because we cannot stop the phenomena, whatever is coming, we turn it, we interact with it, we process it in such a way that we have to develop that knack. That only comes through practice, and that is because thoughts are coming every moment. We have to develop that knack, that in spite of whatever is coming in life, we continue to remain who we essentially are. At a very gross level, if we want to, another yet third way is whatever is coming in life towards us unasked, we learn from it, we interact with it in such a way that we are transported to the self there and then, immediately. See? And that was told in the previous verse. The body of the liberated master keeps on functioning by the process of respiration, just like the molted body of a snake moves in the air. Now this master, he is not considering himself to be this body. Then what will be his disposition? We can only imagine. And how can we imagine? The way the scriptures tell us. Now instead of saying that I am this body, his disposition is that I am the self expressing through all the bodies. Just like we have a doubt-free disposition that I, the man, is alone expressing. When I am the man, I know that man alone is expressing as the husband, is alone expressing as the son, is alone expressing as the father, brother, etc. Whether they are there or not there, man is not affected. When I get identified with the expressions, then that expression, that identification brings about the trouble, the challenges, the responsibilities, the frustrations, the aspirations. But man is not affected if the father is expressing or not expressing, husband is expressing or not expressing, man is not affected. Exactly the same way, the self is not affected whether the gross, subtle or causal is expressing or not expressing. And now it is not about the total, it's about not about the individual, but as regard the total also. As an individual, when I think, then I'll say I'm not affected by this body, I'm not affected by, to get to this point I say I'm not affected by the world. Sukha dukkhe sukh samay kritva labha labho jaya jayo. In joys and sorrows, gain and loss, honor and dishonor, I remain equanimous. And where does all these three come? They come from my interpretation of what the world is throwing at me. But once I have come to this realization, this expansion within myself, this natural disposition within myself, where it has clicked that the self which is expressing behind everyone, every living thing, the self as existence expressing behind every object, as consciousness behind every living being, is not other than the self that I am. What could it be like? What would it be like? Keep contemplating in this manner, you vanish, the seeker vanishes. So then this body just, in the previous verse, in the 550th verse, it was told, then this body just is a shell, a carcass not in a carcass. Carcass is no, a shell in which the air is getting pumped in and out. You must have seen that example. You know, when you go outside, pass in Glen Waverley, Springville Road, you know, that Lane Toyota is there or some other, and that a balloon in the form of a man, and the wind comes and he goes, he is going around. Then this body becomes like that. That is why it is called Pishachvat and Unmattavat, like a mad fellow, intoxicated fellow, or like a ghost like. That also, if you see it in the foggy evening or morning, it will look like a ghost. See, there is no individuality there. He is just whatever the forces are making it behave, it's behaving that way. Same is with this Mahatma also. Now coming to the 551st verse. Srotasa niyate daru, srotasa niyate daru, yatha nimnonnatasthalam, yatha nimnonnatasthalam, daivena niyate deho, daivena niyate deho, yatha kalopabhuktishu, yatha kalopabhuktishu. Srotasa niyate daru, yatha nimnonnatasthalam, daivena niyate deho, yatha kalopabhuktishu. Now he gives like another example, Adi Shankaracharya ji. As a wooden log moves by the current of waters in higher and lower places, similarly, the body of the wise man also goes through various experiences depending upon the time, the will of the divine, or under the influence of the prarabdha of the body. Just like a wooden log or a leaf or a twig flowing on the Ganges water or any river, Yara, it has got no independence to behave by itself. The direction is set by the river. The twists and turns are set by the river. Okay? The goal is not set by the twig or the wooden log. The river sets it. It has to go where the river goes. It cannot say, no, I want to go my way. Who says I want to go my way or the highway? Who says that? Not the president. Who says it? Individual says that because he thinks he has a choice. When we live with choice, before we were worldly, now we are a seeker. A realization, the abidance is where we live a choiceless existence. Like that balloon outside the car retailers. It has got choiceless existence. Whichever way the wind makes it go up and down or collapse completely, and next moment he is up, he gets his kundalini rises, then again collapses, then again rises, then again collapses. No choice. Exactly the same way. The master, the wise man. So here we are talking about the log of wood. It doesn't have, what speed can it go? That also is determined by the water, by the river. How much it should be in the water, how much it should be outside the water, that also it has got no choice. Should it stop somewhere? That also it doesn't have choice. Can it avoid the obstacles? There also it has got no choice. Because if a boulder comes in the river, it has got no choice. it has to go and dash against it and then circumvent it slowly, slowly, rubbing against it, some chips, some hurt, and then eventually the river takes it wherever it has to take. Exactly the same way, exactly in the same manner. Here it is told that that the just as the wooden log is carried by the currents of the water, same way the wise man's body, wise man also goes through various experiences. And experience, where is the experience? Who is saying that the wise man goes through various experiences? Don't misunderstand that the wise man is going through experiences. This statement is meant for us, the seekers, who are still considering ourselves to be an individual. Because we have a doubt that how come this Mahatma, he has come to realize, then how come he is feeling hungry, how come he sleeps, how come he takes bath, how come he gets angry, how come he is feeling the pain. You see, we are only stuck at that level. Mind can only think that, because reality is beyond the mind. Mind cannot contemplate on the reality. So it only talks, it only gives commentary about what is in front of it at the sensory level or the mental level. So these verses, when we are told, it is for our sake, not for the sake of the wise man. So if we are already the self that we are seeking, understand the subtlety of the sentence. If we are already the self that we are seeking, what is stopping us? Non-acceptance. Where is it? In the mind. Mind has not calmed down at the moment. Why has the mind not calmed down? It is still taking the world to be real. Why is it taking the world to be real? Because it is still considering itself to be the body somewhere. That hook is still there. And because it is considering that it is the body, the individual is considering that he is the body and the mind. Therefore, when he looks at a Mahatma as a realized master, he doesn't look. It is not consciousness meeting consciousness. It is individual meeting the infinite consciousness. But where is the individual's attention going? It is going only on the name and form. It is not going on the consciousness. When we both meet, or you are listening to me, I am listening to you, if we were in physically present, then what is interacting with what? Then consciousness is interacting with consciousness. How is a wave created? Water interacting with water, wave is created, isn't it? Water embracing water, a wave is created. But do we feel that way? That I am water, the other is also water, meaning I am consciousness, the other is conscious. No, we are looking at the body. We are looking at the mind. His swabhav, his character is like this, my character is like this. I am sattvic, he is rajasic, she is tamasic. And we go on dividing the world again and again and again and again. So these verses are not meant for the wise man. They are meant for the one who, in spite of the conviction, is not able to abide, maybe getting a glimpse here and there. So because this itch of survival, see, When we went to the ashram, we studied for 2 years. After 2 years, we were told, are you going to take Diksha? Diksha means, are you going to get initiated? If you get initiated, we are wearing white clothes. After initiation, your name is changed and you get yellow clothes. Vividisha, sannyas. I didn't know. See? At that very moment, when the question was asked, we knew we are going to the room of Guruji, but this question didn't come. Yeah, we will see. I'm taking. Everyone is already decided. I am taking sannyas. I am taking initiation. When I was asked, I said, I don't know. And I'm in the hall, still I don't know. And everyone is going through. He got the name, he got the cloth. He got the name, he got the cloth. He got the name, he got the cloth. And then my turn came. They asked me. All I could do at that moment was look at Swamiji, and all he did was winked. He didn't use any words. He just winked, did this, and I took it. See? Because till then the doubt was, how am I going to survive? How am I going to live? Even after studying of scriptures, these thoughts keep coming. So we must, as a seeker, as a seeker only, what other word is there? As a mumukshu, as a one seeking realization, as a one with desire to liberate, we must have an altar on the journey. That may be the self, that may be the Guru Maharaj, that may be the Ishvara, the Lord, somewhere where we have no question. Because we know the self knows everything. The Ishvara knows everything. The Guru Maharaj knows more than I know. More than I know myself, these three know me better. Blindly follow. Faith. Blindly follow. Have faith. Just like that log of wood, without any complaint, is moving wherever it needs to be going. It needs wherever the current is taking it, without any choice. When we start living such a life, this is the expression. Realized Master lives like this, a choiceless existence, not a willful existence. Not a willful existence. Will is another name for desire. And as long as we are addicted to it, realization is even though it is closer than the closest, it seems farther than the farthest. Even though it is immediate, the desire creates a big distance between me and myself. So these are the symptoms, these are the dispositions, this is the way. How much time does it take to be like this? As long as you decide. If you are here in this human body, you must have missed the chance last time. That's why you are still here. When I say you, I am telling myself also. I am talking to the mind. See? We missed the plot somewhere. We can take it that way, or we can take it, because then that will determine, if we take it that way, that we missed the chance last time, then we are going into, again we are going into wrong direction. If we take that way, then here it is told, what did he say? Under the influence of prarabdha of the body. Body will go through, body, when we say gross, subtle and causal, it will go through whatever it has to go through. It has got nothing to do with you, the real one. The sun is not affected if the reflection of the sun in the waters is affected. If there are buckets of water and the sun is reflecting, someone kicks the bucket and the water in the bucket spills, and the reflection of the sun vanishes. Sun does not vanish. If someone comes and puts some dark color into the waters and the reflection is no longer available in those muddied waters, doesn't mean that the sun has become muddied. If there are disturbances of waves in the third bucket of water and the reflection of the sun seems to be broken up, doesn't mean that the sun is broken up. See? So here it is told, the prarabdha is of the body, not of you. We so loosely keep saying our prarabdha, your prarabdha, my prarabdha. No. Prarabdha is only of the equipment. Prarabdha is only of the matter. You are not the matter. You are the infinite. You are the immaculate one. You are the spirit. Spirit does not go through changes. Matter goes through changes. Keep ascertaining this truth about yourself again and again and again. And it says once again, as a wooden log moves by the current of waters in higher and lower places, similarly the body of the wise man also goes through various experiences depending upon the time, the will of the divine, or under the influence of prarabdha of the body. So when we look at it from the empirical world point of view, from the relative point of view, we can give it three reasons that time is making the body go through whatever it is going through. If a person is there, the devotee is there, like Gora Kumbhar, a great potter in Maharashtra, he used to sing Jai Jai Vitthala, Jai Hari Vitthala, Jai Jai Vitthala, Jai Hari Vitthala. And when a potter needs to make pots, first he needs to make the mud very soft so that it is malleable on the potter's wheel. So he had a baby, and the wife said she knew the disposition of her husband, that he forgets everything and he gets lost in the Lord's name. So that day she said he was working for a change. She saw him jumping on the mud and the water so that the mud becomes soft in the small pit. And she left the baby on the cot, and she said, "Oh, hubby, I'm going to get some vegetables. Take care." He said, "Yeah. Oh, Jai Jai Hari, Ramakrishna Hari, or whatever. Jai Jai Vitthala, Shri Hari Vitthala." And that child slowly got down from the cot and on the force came towards his dad, and dad is oblivious of it. He came under the feet of the dad in the mud and got killed, got stamped, and all blood came out. And what happened to the body? It all got mixed in the mud. The father is oblivious because he is only thinking of the Lord. And when the wife came back, "Where's the baby?" He is still singing Jai Jai Vittala, Jai Hari Vittala, Jai Jai Vittala, Jai Hari Vittala. He says, which baby? Which baby? He says, I just told you. He said, did you tell me? I can't remember. He's so in tune with the divine. And then her attention went to the mud pit. And she saw blood. And then she saw the bones. Then she saw the crushed body, crushed head. And she started screaming and hitting her husband. Once in my life I have given you one job for 10 minutes and that also you kill our child. He says, I did not do it. See, no guilt. We whole day we keep moving around saying sorry, sorry, thank you, thank you. The foolish things we have learned from the Western system. In our culture, there is no thank you. There is no sorry. माफ करना भी उर्दू से आया है, हिंदी में कहीं माफ करना नहीं है. और and we don't go around if someone has done something, धन्यवाद धन्यवाद धन्यवाद. We don't say that. But here he has taken it to the limit. He says, and that is because we keep saying thank you and sorry, we feel guilty. Where there is guilt, there is ego. He did not commit the act because he was not body conscious. So he said, no, I did not kill. But the fact is that the child was there, crushed under his feet. Now when he came back to his senses, he realized what has happened and cried out to the Lord, Lord, what did you make? Why did you make this happen? Here when we are seeing or the divine will. So it was not his will. It was not prarabdha because he was not the body. It was not his will. He was not the mind or the individual with a choice. So then it must be the divine will. He says, why did you will this? And there itself, while the whole world is condemning him without having a sense of guilt. This is very important point. In life, we must not feel guilty about anything. Yes, if we had done it willfully, then we must say sorry. But a master never says sorry because he does not do anything by choice. He is living a choiceless existence. So why will he say sorry for anything? Because he never did anything. See? And immediately this Gora Kumbhar, he started crying out to the Lord. And eventually the child came back as one piece to the family. See? Divine will we are talking about. When we are living as an individual, whatever is happening in our life, don't blame anyone and don't blame yourself. Take it as prarabdha. As an individual who is pursuing life. Better than prarabdha is accept it as whatever is happening in life, accept it as divine will. When we take it as ठीक है. So whenever people say, Swamiji, you came into our life because of our good prarabdha, no, every time I correct them. Or they say that so many masters have come into our life, or when we go to the pilgrimages, we meet so many masters, and naturally out of that sense of love and gratitude, they feel that they have to say something. So they say, Swamiji, because of you, because of the good prarabdha, we met you, and because of that we were able to get darshan of these great masters. I never accept that. I always say it is not because of prarabdha, it is because of the divine will. Another word for divine will is grace. There is no God sitting there. Arey, I don't like his face. Let me give him some trouble. This one I like. Acha, I will make his life or her life beautiful. No. He is equanimous. He sees the whole creation as his own self. So how can he will good or bad for anyone? See? Do you cut your own tongue with your teeth because you had hatred towards your tongue? You don't do that. It happened. Your love for the teeth as well as for the tongue is equal. You don't have one preference over the other. See? So in this manner, the great masters, the wise men, this is being told to the seeker that if you, the final straw, the wise men live at the will of the divine. There is no personal will there. So seeker, you also give up the personal will. And where is the will? It is in the mind. So we have to give up the mind. And our problem in that one comes when as a seeker we are continuously, who am I? I am the Brahman. Who am I? I am the Brahman. Who am I? I am the Brahman. Arey Baba, how many times are you going to repeat it? Be it. By repetition you cannot become that. And if you become, then you will unbecome also. You have to be it. By repeating, you are not going to, you cannot hypnotize yourself by the idea that I am Brahman. You know, like some people, if you have seen Elvis Presley, many people move around with the hairstyle of Elvis Presley and clothes of Elvis Presley. They talk like him, they have a bikes like him, they carry the guitar like him and sing like him. They have an idea in their mind. They have put that idol in front of their mind, and that mind has molded itself around that character. So is Brahman a character? Is reality a character? Is reality an idea whom you are going to mimicry? See? And therefore, there is no place for will on this journey. If we entertain will, that is choice, then we will be fighting and being miserable even while that log of wood is being is taken by the current. Instead of enjoying the journey, we are going to complain, crib, compete, compare. This will be our lot. And this happens even among seekers. This happens even among seekers. This happens even among ashrams. Which akhada you are from? Udasin. Oh, Niranjani. Which organization you are from? Oh, this one. So in the society, some organizations have bad names, some organizations have good name. Some Mahatmas have bad name, some Mahatmas have good name. See? Some are pseudo Mahatmas. Some are actual Mahatmas, but and even if they are Mahatmas, even if they are wise men, how can another person recognize a wise man? That is another question. Can can a person who is not established in his essential nature, an ordinary man, can he ever come to know a wise man? We come to know about a wise man only through hearsay, because someone told us. Oh, Ammachi is realized. Oh, Shirdi Sai Baba is realized. Oh, Sai Baba is realized. Oh, Ramana Maharishi is realized. Oh, this one is realized. It's only second-hand knowledge. It's not direct. It's not your aparoksha anubhuti. It's not your direct experience. Only a realized master can recognize a realized master. And how does a realized master know another realized master? As the self. But we are only addicted. We are seeing the realized master as a person, as a form, with certain characteristics, and if they are conducive, if he prods us, if he guides us, if he is loving to us, then we become pally with him. But if from the day one he starts screaming and abusing at us, we will run away the next day. This is not a Mahatma, this is not a wise man. See how adulterated our approach is. So if this is the case, this is how a wise man lives, allowing the collective will of the creation, allowing the collective will of the creation to maintain this body, or the divine will to maintain this body or take it to it, whatever the destination is. And it is not that every wise man dies a normal death. Some people, in the name, from the sense of the relative world, some Mahatmas who take Jala Samadhi, it is considered as suicide. If Jnaneshwar Maharaj has dug a hole, a cave, and put himself inside it and asked others to close it, it is considered suicide. Think. So how do we determine? We can't. As an individual, we can never come to know a realized master. Instead of coming to know a realized master, whoever says it is, be in their company, but our attention must be subjective, not objective. Our attention must be subjective. We are not searching for realization in that master. We are not searching for realization in that temple. We are not searching for realization in the caves of Himalayas. No. Vedanta says we are the self right here and now. Just be. Story over. Story is of the matter. There is no story of the self. There is story of an individual. Story is always there in a phenomena. Self is not a phenomena. See, you can keep talking in this direction. There's no, every verse can take us in a reverie, so that even while talking we feel that yes, everything in our life is preordained. Everything is moving as it should. Many things which I did not know that they were the right decisions or what happened was right or wrong, but over when I look back, everything happened perfectly to bring me where I am today. Isn't it? हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना कोई गिला ना कोई शिकवा. No guilts and no expectations. Everything is perfect at this moment. And that perfection is not because of the world, it's not because of the body, it's not because of the mind, it's because I am. See? Continue, keep coming back to this disposition again and again and again and again. And one day it will click that I was expecting it, I was wishing it, and that wishing was in the mind. But I have always been the observer. I have always been the witness of this whole thing going on. Continuing, he says, Prarabdha karma parikalpita vasanabhihi sansari, two times. Prarabdha karma parikalpita vasanabhihi sansari vacharati bhuktishu mukta dehaha. Sansari vacharati bhuktishu mukta dehaha. सिद्ध स्वयं वसति साक्षिवदत्र तूष्णीं. सिद्ध स्वयं वसति साक्षिवदत्र तूष्णीं. चक्रस्य मूलमिव कल्पविकल्पशून्यः. चक्रस्य मूलमिव कल्पविकल्पशून्यः. प्रारब्धकर्म परिकल्पितवासनाभिः संसारिवच्चरति भुक्तिषु मुक्तदेहः. सिद्धः स्वयं वसति साक्षिवदत्र तूष्णीं. चक्रस्य मूलमिव कल्पविकल्पशून्यः. He says, the body of the wise man with the prarabdha karma and imaginary impressions of the last life goes through many experiences just as any other samsari person, ignorant person. The one established in the self is absolutely steady without any disturbances on account of anything as the witness and remains silent like the pivot of the wheel of the pot maker. See, there are many masters. One example that's coming to my mind is Akhandananji Maharaj. Akhandananji Maharaj, who was from a family of pujaris, priests. And their job was to go from house to house, do the pujas. They were the local pujaris, anything happening, and they create their own clientele. Grandfather was doing the same thing, father was doing the same thing, now the son is doing. The baton is going to be handed over to the son. And initially it started off like that. He went to studied Sanskrit, did this Shastri Abhyas, studied the scriptures a little bit. And then when he was 16, 17, 18 years, and already the father used to, even when he was 14, 15, the father used to say, go to that house, I am busy somewhere. So he used to go and he used to do the pujas. And as he started doing this, and then within him there was an urge to always come across Mahatmas, be in their company, whoever was in his town or village or wherever he was traveling. We can say divine will. Just like I came across Anubhananji, divine will. I had no idea who he is. Like you and me came together, divine will. I did not know you. You did not know me. When it has to happen, it happens. See, When the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's not the other way around. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. If you right now forget about spirituality and you want to single pointedly learn about carpentry, for example, a teacher will appear to teach you how to do carpentry. But it should be, your whole soul should be dedicated to it. It will come. You have to do experiments with this. If you want to learn about share market, whole soul, I want to understand. A teacher will appear. A person will appear who will be able to guide your mind, give you certain understanding about it. Same way, when we are ready, when we are seeking, there is a pull from within to know God, to know the self, to merge into the self. Depending upon what our angle of approach is, then that type of teacher appears in our life, unasked. See? So this Akhandanandji Maharaj, he was drawn. People were drawn to him, masters were drawn to him, and he was drawn to the masters. And one day he was walking with one master, and he went and he was going from house to house taking the bhiksha, and someone gave him some money. He did not take it. He says, "No, I don't take money." And then he went with that master and he was going to talk on Bhagavatam, or some satsang was going on. Everywhere satsang is done for generation of wealth. People are sponsoring, food is served, and dakshina is collected, and it's a big rigmarole. But this Mahatma went, gave a lecture, hundreds of people were there, and at the end he said, people came and they wanted to give dakshina. He said, "No, I don't touch money. You want to give, you can give it to this temple. They can build another wall, they can buy, do some repairs. I don't need." And just came empty handed, went away empty handed. It made such a big impact on the mind of this young Akhandanandji Maharaj, that from that moment he took a sankalpa. It came from within, that from today onwards I will not take dakshina from any house where I go and do puja. See, a big difference. This is how growth happens. One lady came to me. She said she does puja, and she says, so, and the day she learned how to do puja, and then she says, "Swamiji, I got my first client today of doing puja. Please give me ashwad." Before going to the house, wherever she was meant to go, she came to me. He said, "Please give me ashwad." And that time I didn't know this about Akhandanandji Maharaj. This I read later. And I said, "Okay, you are doing puja. Why are you doing puja? Tell me this." "Oh, I want to help the community." I said, "You did not create the community, so community doesn't need you. That same society, that same community, one day they will praise you, one day they will insult you. They will find faults with you. So tell me, really, why you want to do the puja?" She says, "I'm attracted to it." I said, "That's a better answer." That you are attracted to it. That's why the urge to learn how to do the rituals, and now you want to do. Yes, okay, good. Now, what is your long-term goal? "No, Swamiji, I want to study." She does chanting with me. So I said, if you want spiritual growth, you will not do puja for money's sake. If someone gives you dakshina, you will take it. But you will not demand it. You will not say, "Give me 1 rupee or $1 or $50 or $100. No. Whatever they wish, it's up to them. And that was 6 years ago. And you see the growth in that lady today. Now, automatically, because she is doing the pujas without any expectation in return. When you do karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, when you do the actions without expectation of a result, what happens? Mind purifies, isn't it? Purification happens. That's what is happening. Now automatically within her bosom, the urge to know, the jigyasa, the urge to know Lord, the urge to know the truth, what is the urge to know the purpose of life. And she does chanting with me, and after chanting every few weeks, she has a flurry of questions. What is this? What is that? What is that? That went on for 2 years. This year, during the Corona festival, again something she asked, which I had answered many years back. Then I said, no more questions. Now you study. Why you are not answering, Swamiji? I said, no, because you are your mind is going haphazard. It's picking something here, it's picking something there, it's not getting formatted properly. Then what should I do? I said, study Bhagavad Gita. Now she has started Bhagavad Gita. I said, whatever you study, when you have studied chapter 1, ask me any question about chapter 1, I'll answer. But if you ask me anything else, I will not answer. Then when you have studied chapter 2, I'll answer the chapter 2. Now she's systematically studying the chapters. This is how transformation comes. This is how the jiva, the individual, metamorphosizes into reality. And when he gets there, the body of the wise man, prarabdha karma parikalpita vasanabhihi, the body of the wise man with the prarabdha karma and the imaginary impressions of the last life goes through many experiences, just like sansara with charati bhuktishu mukta deha. Even though he is realized, his body goes through the various experiences just like an ordinary man. For whom is this statement? For us, ordinary people. This statement is not for the realized one. This statement could be for the person who is going into samadhi, coming out of the samadhi, who is having a glimpse of the self but is not able to remain steady there. For him, so that he gives up trying to maintain this body, gives up. If I am coming close to Bhagwan, if I am becoming so close, and now the name of the Lord is continuous, a japa jap is going on in my mind, then why so many difficulties are coming to me, Swamiji? People complain to God also, why Bhagwan is giving me so many difficulties? I can't do anything but think of him, and yet difficulties are coming. That means you are still available to the world. You are not 100% available to the Lord. If even 1 iota you are available to the world, you cannot go to sleep. You have to become 100% available to sleep, only then sleep comes. Isn't it? Same way, we have to become 100%, 110% available to the divine. Then metamorphosis will happen. Then the I dissolves. Then the seeker dies. Better way, the seeker metamorphosizes into Guru. According to Nectar of Immortality, the Amrit Anubhav. In fact, Neither the seeker is there nor the guru is there. Only the ultimate Guru Tattva alone remains, according to that. So, then Siddha Swayam Vasati Sakshi Vadatra Tushnim, the one established in the self is absolutely steady without any disturbances on account of anything as the witness and remains silent. Siddha Swayam, Swayam Siddha. Uddharet Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadhayet. 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita says, raise yourself by yourself in yourself, not outside. How we are raising ourselves? By listening. There, this instruction is not given. That raise yourself by listening, raise yourself by pranayam, raise yourself by yoga, raise yourself by kumbhak, raise yourself by kundalini. No, it says uddharet atmana atmanam. Raise yourself by the self. Right now you are the self, only you have got a wrong idea of what this self is. And when will that idea get corrected? When you contemplate on this self that you think you are. When you come to dissect everything and come to the core, the I thought, the moment the I thought becomes aware of the I thought also, thought will go away, I will remain. I in its essence will remain, but the thought aspect of it will dissolve. Just like the thought of sleep dissolves, but sleep remains. Every night it happens, no? See? So all tools are given to you. You have to put it in the right direction. That's all. So the one established, Siddha Swayam Vasati Sakshi Vadatra Tushnim, with an undisturbed mind. Tushnim is where the mind has completely withdrawn from everything, is undisturbed and remains as a sakshi, a witness towards everything, undisturbed, unreactionary. There is no ripple created, ripple of attachment, ripple of identification, ripple of ownership. No karta bhokta, no doership and enjoyership. Remains as it is. If you can remain aware like this, so here Siddha Swayam Vasati Sakshi Vadatra Tushnim, and here now how can we do this? So an example is given. Just like in the potter's wheel, what is it? Chakrasya moolam eva kalpa vikalpa shunyaha. Just as remains like the pivot of a wheel of the pot maker. The pot maker, if in nowadays it's all electric. The wheel is moving, but the center point in the wheel is unmoving. Just like the axle in a cycle, in a bicycle, the axle remains unmoving. The wheel keeps moving around. The sun is unmoving. Day and night keep moving around. Sun is unmoving. The seasons keep moving around. They're cyclical. Months are cyclical. Today is July. Next, after 12 months, again it will be July. Today is what? Wednesday. Next week again it will be Wednesday. At this moment, at this time, I am a waker. Tomorrow at this time, again I will be a waker. Cyclical. So what is that? Just like sun is unmoving, but everything around, the days, the time, the seasons, everything is changing. What is that within you which is not changing and everything else is changing around it? That is the self, and that I am. Now start looking. Instead of looking for the self, you start looking at everything as the witness. What is I am the unchanging principle, like the axle in a wheel. Let me list out on a piece of paper what are all those things which keep changing while I am still the same. The waker, dreamer, sleeper, they keep coming and going. I am the same because I know it. Knower has to be other than the known. The body is changing. I am the same. The senses are changing. I am the same. The thoughts are changing. I am the same. Convictions are changing. I am the same. Before I could not live with the friends, but then friends went away. I am still the same. So start noting down. So here Bhagavan is telling to the seeker, us, that you are that unchanging principle. You are the loci, that locus around which all changes take place, and that center is the unchanging principle, and that you are, my friend, my dear. So accept it. We are not here to disprove what Shankaracharya ji is saying. We have come to satsang to change. We have come to satsang to change our notions, to change our convictions, to change our wrong approach to everything. So if he is saying you are the changeless principle, in spite of all the change that is going around, then find out. Have a cool disposition and see how everything is changing around you and you are not changing. When we go to school, we don't go to school to prove how physics, the exercises that are given in mathematics, trigonometry, etc., how they are wrong. We go to prove them right by putting them into application, by doing certain exercises. Teacher teaches you the principle, that this is the Pythagoras theorem, this is the Archimedes principle, this is the sine theta plus cos theta is equal to tan theta, and so on, trigonometry, calculus, arithmetic. They give you the formulas, but you have to learn to apply them. Now I know the formula, but you have never applied. How will you come to know if they are right or wrong? So if here a formula is given that we are the unchanging principle, and around this unchanging principle everything is going round and round and round, now put it into application and find out. This will be our take on it. This is what is being told to the seeker, that because everything is going on around, you don't go around with that is going around. And how do we go around? Oh, it is so cold today. Oh, it is so hot today. We are also cyclical when we identify with the cycle. So at the right time the breakfast hunger comes, at the right time the lunch hunger comes, at the right time the dinner hunger comes. At the right time we wake up, at the right time we go to sleep. Break all the rules. Stop living as a robot. Live as the self, the unchanging principle. And maybe a night or two, if sleep doesn't come in that heightened awareness, let it be so. Don't sleep. How does it matter? Nothing is going to change. But we live cyclical life because of our identification. This witness gets identified with what is going on around, that which is changing, and thinks that it is changing. And that identification then mechanically it keeps popping up. The same thing on a daily basis. 7:30 Vivek Chudamani. Cyclical. Monday morning 7 o'clock meditation. Cyclical. Let it be. Don't get identified with it. So in this manner, where are we? In this manner, the teacher is saying, Siddha Swayam Vasati Sakshi Vadatra Tushnim. That he is the untouched, he is the unchanging principle in spite of all the change going on around it. Just like the pivot of the wheel is unchanging and the wheel keeps going on around that pivot. Just like the axle in a cycle is unchanging and the wheel keeps going on around the cycle, around the axle. Similarly, this self that I am, oh student, this consciousness that you are is the pivot around which the wheel of life is going on around. Waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep. Don't get identified with it. Be aware of this. All you have to do is be aware. That's all. Nothing needs to be done. And awareness is not a doing. It is not an act. Awareness is an act. नैवेन्द्रियाणि विषयेषु नियुक्त एष नैवेन्द्रियाणि विषयेषु नियुक्त एष नैवापयुक्त उपदर्शनलक्षणस्थः नैवापयुक्त उपदर्शनलक्षणस्थः नैव क्रियाफलमपीषदवेक्षते स नैव क्रियाफलमपीषदवेक्षते सः स्वानन्दसान्द्ररसपानसुमत्तचित्तः स्वानन्दसान्द्ररसपानसुमत्तचित्तः नैवेन्द्रियाणि विषयेषु नियुक्त एष नैवापयुक्त उपदर्शनलक्षणस्थः नैव क्रियाफलमपीषदवेक्षते स स्वानन्दसान्द्ररसपानसुमत्तचित्तः. In the first three lines, all through negation. Naiva, naiva, naiva. You are not, you are not, you are not. What is that? The master abiding. Swananda Sandra Rasapana Sumatta Chitta. Aha. Huh? Who? The wise man, the realized master. He is telling the student, O wise one, the master abiding in Brahman is ever intoxicated in the intense bliss of the self-experience and ever abiding as the witness. This is the first. Swananda is, he is in the bliss. Swa is the self, Ananda is the bliss of the self. Ananda, Sandra Rasapana. Rasa is the nectar. Rasapana, continuously drinking the nectar of the blissful self. Sumatta Chittaha. Sumatta is, we can say, Chitta means the mind. Sumatta, I can think it as a beautiful mind. His mind is ever drinking the nectar of the bliss of the self. And now, while he is abiding in this disposition, he is in the self as the self. Then the next three verses, the three lines, what are they? He neither engages nor withdraws the senses from the objects. Naivendriyani vishayeshu niyungta esha. He neither engages the senses in the world, neither he withdraws the senses from the world. Because tell.
No doership or enjoyership.
Yeah.
Because you are abiding self as self.
You are abiding in the self and the self. So, when you are in the self as the self, there is no body identification.
That's right, yeah.
There is no world out there if you are abiding in the self as the self. Even if the eyes are open, there is no world there for such a person. Everything is one.
The objects don't exist then for the realized person.
Objects are for the senses.
For the sense.
All the stimuli are for the senses and the mind. But the owner is missing. But the owner is missing. Where has the owner gone? He is no longer identifying with anyone.
Hiding under the self.
Pardon me? Hiding under the
Self.
yeah. See. So he does, as a seeker, what are we doing? I don't see no evil, hear no evil, talk no evil, control your shama, dhamma. Remember how the book began? Vivek, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. Discrimination between the real and the unreal. Vairagya is dispassion. And then Shatka Sampatti was Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan. Control of mind, control of senses, or withdrawal of mind, withdrawal of senses. But now, we did all that. We did Vivek, we did practiced Vairagya, we controlled our mind and senses, etc. only to let them free. Because there we were a seeker, and now, having come to abide in our natural state, now there is no itch to see or not see, to hear or not hear, to think or not think. See? Why? The mind even the mind in such a master, for master there is no mind, yet for us we see that there is a mind in that master. That mind has become like a mirror. Whatever comes, it will reflect. And where is the mind? Sumatta chittaha. It is intoxicated. Because what is mind? in this angle of approach. What is the mind? It is nothing but consciousness with thoughts, isn't it? That mind which was extrovert was lost in the things. That same mind we utilized to go to sleep or to come to realize, to contemplate on the truth, to contemplate on the self. That sentence, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam, was not that instruction was not to the pristine self. That was to the mind. That was to the individual. The I thought in the mind. See? Now mind has come to, he is dissolved in the reality. And therefore, from that disposition, see, the small children are like that. If the toy falls away from their hand, and next one moment, in that crying or moving their hand, something else comes in their hand, they start smiling. See? Realize Master, he does not want anything and he does not discard anything. So for this we have a statement which comes in Panchadashi. Accept everything, reject nothing and retain nothing. That is his disposition now. Everything is as it is, without precipitation of memory. In fact, this statement that accept the master, the witness, accepts everything, rejects nothing, then alone it will be witness. And when you are a witness, there is no precipitation of memory possible. Memory gets formed only when we identify. We take ownership. We become the doer. Then alone memory precipitates. As a witness, memory does not precipitate. So neither he engages nor withdraws the senses from the objects. Naivapayunkta upadarshana lakshanastha. He never ever looks at the results of his activities, because he is not the performer of the activities. So how can he look at the result of the activities? He is all that. Abidance in the self means he is all that there is. Do we feel we are all that there is at this moment? Yes and no. Be truthful.
No.
Yes and no. On one hand, intellectually we understand that I am all that there is. Isn't it? But because I identify that I am a teacher or I am a speaker at this moment, and why, so I am doing, I am speaking, but while speaking is taking place, if I am not identified with the speaking, every now and then it happens. In fact, that is the natural state. Speaking is happening. But every now and then, in that intense contemplation, suddenly the identification with the speaking vanishes. And speaking continues, and you are the witness. Japa continues. You are the witness that the mind is chanting the mantra. Action continues. You are observing that the action is going on. See? Naiva kriyafala mapisha davekshate sa. So, first was that he does not withdraw or engage the senses, then he doesn't withdraw or engage doesn't seek a conclusion with regards to the actions that are going on. No result, because he is not the doer, therefore no expectation of any result. Self is, if we are thinking, that is what Vedanta differs from other approaches. Vedanta brings you to contemplate with such ideas and words: Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, Sat, Chit, Ananta, Ananda, Ekameva Dvitiya, Brahmatmaikya Bodha, choiceless existence, effortless effort, creation is out of desireless desire. These are not concepts. All that I just told you, these are not concepts. Yes, they are words. Words may be taken as something which is limited, but what they are indicating, what they are representing, does not come in the purview of conceptualization. It does not come into the purview of our mind to form an idea. And that I am. Don't forget that part. That I am. With this we conclude for today. Contemplate on this. It is freeing. No responsibility. And when you give up all responsibility, you become most responsible. Today one person called me and some topic about the truth and the reality and the Vedanta. What is Vedanta? This is Vedanta. If he's there, I don't know if he's there or not. This is Vedanta. Then automatically such a person who's abiding in the self, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Aren't we born every moment? Are we not incarnating every moment? So this Mahatma's, this wise man's life becomes a life of establishment of righteousness, discarding of all evil. See? So this is how the great masters, through different words, different ways of approaches, whether it is devotion, whether it is Vedanta, whether it is karma, whether their only purpose is that we come to accept ourselves as we are, which is divine, and be that divine. Because anything less than that is a challenging life. Is a challenging life. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sit quietly for half a minute. Hari Om.